All right, good evening. We're going to call to order the Hermiston City Council and Urban Renewal Agency for August 23rd, 2021, with a declaration of a quorum. All members present this evening. Good to see you all. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, City Manager Smith. Are there any changes that we need to make to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Well, this is the first opportunity of our meeting for citizen input. If there are citizens that would like to speak to the City Council regarding items not on our agenda, please come up to the microphone at front, introduce yourself by name and address, direct your comments to me, and try and limit your discussion to not more than 5 minutes. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for the work that you do. My name is Charles Klepney. I live at 1225 Northwest Shurin Lane, just this street. You're looking at a veteran of 3 playground builds, and I was in on the inception of all 3. We have spent, and I've spent a few $1,000s, but several other businesses have spent several $1,000s to build a magnificent playground. I know because I've tightened a lot of screws and nuts and placed a lot of pillars, put in a lot of time. What I'm telling you is you have a jewel, and I know that it's important to protect jewels. I live very near the playground. I'm not distressed yet because we have a pretty strong playground, but I've seen some pretty interesting things. And when you're dealing with us as the public, there are many different elements that we have to deal with, both pleasant and unpleasant. I would like the City Council and the city to think about this jewel that you have and what we can do to put in place some things that will protect that jewel for a very long time. As I go to the playground, I think about where you have fences. I was involved in trying to get the pool built when it went in. And what's around it? A fence. I was not involved in the splash ground, but what's around it? A fence. We have a brand new playground. There is no fence around it. Fences don't protect a lot of things, except maybe at night if you close it and you lock it and you open it up in the morning. Riverfront Park is like that. You have a gate that closes when the sun goes down. I would ask you to consider that maybe that might be a solution besides what is planned, which is a sponsor fence around. I'm talking about a larger fence. I don't know if it's a good idea, but you've got fences around 2 other very substantial projects in this city. And maybe that might be something that helps. I also know that there's a security system going in. It's not here yet. And I know that the sponsorship fence that's supposed to go around it, there's delays there. I realize all that. But I do know that the playground is getting dirty. People are not even looking at the sign that says no food. And we've got older kids going in there and not climbing up through the silo, but climbing up on the silo. And that distresses me as a citizen, and also as someone who's got some ownership in why that thing is here. So I ask you to consider that. that's only one solution, and I'm only one person. But I'd like to give you an analogy that where there's one mouse, there's 20. Okay? Well, here's the one mouse. And I know there's other people out there. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and the City Council. But I would ask you to please consider that. There's been a lot of money spent on that playground. And you have a jewel, and there's people that are going to be coming from all over to be on that. And it sure would be nice to have it. Very nice for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klubney. We appreciate your years of service and dedication to the city and to specifically to that Funland Park. I know it's been near and dear to you and your wife's heart for a long time, so we appreciate your time and commitment to that park specifically, but also your commitment to the city and the desire to see good things. So we'll take that into consideration as we have further conversations about Funland. It is a beautiful facility and it's a gem, and I truly am personally connected to it and would love to see it last a very long time and be a gem for future generations. So I agree with you. Other people that would like to speak this evening? Okay, thank you. We will move on to the consent agenda. Are there areas of consent agenda we'd like to change or move?
I'd ask that you pull item 1, major partition for Nobles. I have a conflict with that.
Okay, so we're going to pull item 5A. Any on B and C? Any concerns? Okay. Any public comment on consent agenda items B or C? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve consent agenda items B and C as listed? Been moved by Councilor Duran, seconded by Councilor Primer, that we approve consent agenda items B and C. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Councilor Spicer-Coon, you pulled consent agenda item A. Is there a reason?
Mr. Nobles has been a client of my law firm, and it would be a conflict for me to vote on that.
Okay. So does he have to leave the conversation then, Mr. Luisi? He has to dismiss himself from the council chamber?
Well, is it a current client or a,
As of a month ago, no.
I'm sorry.
As of a month ago, no.
Oh, a month ago, no. Okay. Sorry. No, I don't think so, but I don't think you should participate.
So,
Just, you have a potential conflict. Well, no, you probably have an actual conflict if he's going to be, and you'll need to excuse yourself.
okay. Thank you, Councilor. Any other council comments on the item A, the major partition? Any public comment on that? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda item A, major partition 4N2804D, tax lot 1100 Nobles 1180 Northwest Sojourn Lane?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Primer, seconded by Councilor Myers, that we approve consent agenda item A, major partition. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, 7-0, with Councilor Spicer-Coon declaring a conflict of interest. Okay, welcome back, Councilor. Other financial report, July 2021, is that Mr. K?
Yes.
Smith? Yes, okay, Mr. K, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Our first month of the fiscal year, we're starting out pretty good. I know I've got it on. Go forward. Dadgummit. Off, on. I'll let you advance, if you would, Miss Lilly. We start with the HURA report. The big thing here I think I'd like to point out is in this year's budget, we're approximately 8.8% over fiscal '21 actual collections on property tax. We're forecasting 240,000 and some change versus 220 actual collected in fiscal '21. And that was higher than what was projected for fiscal '21. That tells me we have things happening in the downtown core, and I think that's a very positive thing. Let's hope that we hit that target and possibly exceed it. I'm very comfortable that we will hit it. We could go forward. So the general fund, we were a bit below our projection for this year, based on the last 3 years' average, about 8% below. But this is truly only the first month of the year, and I'm not too concerned about that, but it is an issue for me. I know that August will be better. We had one transfer we did not make in July that we should have that affected that. But I think we're sitting very nicely at this point, only that's about 150,000 below projections. Moving on. The expenses for this month were right at 140,000 below projected. We've gotten department heads in the practice of spending only on mission critical issues. I will stress that through the year. We need to be prudent. We need to have prudent use of our resources to carry the city's business forward. They're very conscious of not wasting any money, and this is a good start to the season, about 10% below projected for the month of July. And next one. I always highlight the departments in the general fund. Everybody's doing a good job. Parks is up a little bit simply because it's summertime and there's a lot going on. We also have Gary's last gasp, trying to make sure he gets every last dollar out of the city on the legal side. I would point out we have some, again, stellar performances in the public safety sector with the police chief running his department well as a number of other departments this point in time of the year. But that also could be because they just haven't rendered their bills to be paid yet. I will say that this is all, at this point in time, the overhead cost allocations are still on a 1/12 of the year basis, and this is the year we will be updating our overhead cost allocation computation. This is the second year, and when we went to that process, it was agreed that we would update our numbers every 2 years to take into account the cost of inflation and equipment. So that will be changing going into the next year. It won't be the same level. And we'll, at that point in time, will have 3 years of actual activity as well, so that will help. Moving right along, we have the total view of the general fund as it looks right now. We've actually are about 106 above where we were for the minimum reserve requirement for fiscal '21. And the way the minimum reserve requirement is calculated is you take total expenditures in the general fund for prior year and divide it by 15%, which is roughly 2 months worth of expenditures. So we went from $1,877,000 to $2,150,000 as our minimum reserve for this year. I don't think we're going to have any problem staying above that for the rest of the year, especially when we get the ARP funds, if we could go forward. And newsflash, we got the ARP funds today. Not sure if you all are aware of that, but that does change one big number in August, the projected year month end on revenues. If we look back, it was, let me look here. I want to make sure I say the right number. We were projecting $2,673,000 in revenue. With the ARP funding, we're now at $4,600,000 because that will reside in the general fund. At council's direction, we're kind of going to sit on it and not do anything with it very soon. So that will help on the minimum reserve requirement, as well as it will be invested to earn a little bit of money in the LGIP. So I just thought I'd pass that along because that was a very nice piece of news to start the week off with, after having been promised in June that we would have it. We're now almost to the end of August, and God bless the state. They're with the government. They're here to help. And Uncle Sam. And moving along to the utility and street funds, I just want to make a comment that on these funds, we do not do an historical trend analysis because they can be all over the board, as we saw last year. So we just do a 1/12 of the month average expenditures per month. Everything's looking really well. HES has paid some bills that were done early in the budget season. So they're a little underwater on their expenditures, but this is only the first month of the year. I have no question that that'll be caught up. And I want to caution the council to not be too concerned about having anybody in the red on revenues or expenditures after only 1 month. After a quarter, if that's the case, that might raise concern, but this could simply be a timing issue. But they all are sitting fairly decently right now. And moving along, this is our new capital projects page, and I have put as much information as I can for all the new projects. You'll see most of the new ones after the North First Place actually Gear and Harper realignment. All of those are planned to have beginning of but engineering on a number of different projects. And those will be happening this spring, for probably this fall, starting up and being carried through the year. I had asked Mr. Morgan if he would be able to summarize all these for you on a project-by-project basis, but I don't know them that well other than what the financial impact is. We had the 7th Street sewer replacement. The Gear and Harper realignment is simply a new development of engineering. The lift station reconstruction, Gladys and Main water line replacement. The big one will be the McDonald's and 395 sewer main replacement, because that intersection is going to be impacted. And that's out there a ways, but they're starting the engineering on it. And that's the list, and it goes over 2 pages in your financial report. I can't fit it all on 1 page and it still be readable. So you'll just have to get used to that through the course of the year. And then we have the city projects, if we could go forward one more. We have the Airport Apron Rehab, which is underway. The Riverfront Park rebuild is underway. The South Hermiston Industrial Park is underway. New City Hall construction has been underway. I've been told by people in construction business when the derrick or platform comes down around an elevator shaft, you're about ready to close up the base of the building and get started building. Well, they took down all the not the derrick, but the scaffolding around the elevator shaft today. So I'm assuming that's a milestone for some people. It's looking good. If you haven't been down there to take a look at it, my only fear now is we're not getting the backfill against the basement walls quick enough before the sidewalks fall. But we'll see. But I look at it every day, and I'm impressed by the work they do and how it's looking good and solid. And other than that, I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Mr. Kay, can I go back to a couple pages earlier?
Okay.
On the non-departmental expenses, can you explain to me what that is and why it's 154% of
We
over
paid a
budget?
bill we didn't anticipate having this soon,
Okay.
and it was about $35,000. And I expected that to be in the second quarter of the year, but it was presented early. That's a bunch of it.
Okay. So it'll be something we'll catch up later in the year.
Yes.
Second question I had was the ending fund balance. In July, it was on the trend downward, and then all of a sudden in August, we had a sharp uptick, and that was before the ARPA funds.
That was before the ARP fund because we had not made a transfer into the general fund that should have been done in July.
Okay. So that's where the big increase came from in August.
Pardon me?
That's where the large increase came from in August?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where it's been booked for this month, but it'll show up on top of the ARP.
Okay. So we just transferred funds to realign our budget to start the new budget year? Is that what we ended up doing?
Well, like the overhead cost allocations, those things, we've been doing them, some in July, and one of those did not get done as we planned.
Okay. So we were projected to go below the ending fund balance earlier, I think, and now we're above it. So that's why I was curious
Right.
where that funds came from.
Right.
Okay. Other counselors have any other questions? No. So now we have the money in hand. Are we going to have further conversations in the future about the ARPA funding?
Yes, now that it's actually
It's
here.
real.
Then we can start talking about it. Also, we've been having some conversations with our Washington, D.C. consultants about the programs that are going to be, or that are in the Senate bill that passed related to the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which they say the cool kids call it BIB. And so, so we're hoping to bring some of that into that conversation as we bring it forward. So it may be another month or so before we bring it to the council for a more in-depth discussion, so we know better what the House actually did with that bill.
Yeah, I was going to say, the House still has to act on it.
That's
so.
right. And so what they're saying, they think the framework will be pretty much the same. It will just depend on the dollar amounts, probably. So.
Great. Council, any questions on the financial report? Thank you, Mr. Kay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
MOU, New Umatilla River Bridge. Who's presenting that? Yes?
Motion to accept.
Oh, there's no action on my sheet here. So can I get a motion to accept the July 2021 financial report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Spicer-Coon, seconded by Councilor Harden, that we accept the financial report as presented. Any public comment on that? Sorry, I should have asked. Seeing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. MOU, Umatilla, the new Umatilla River Bridge.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So, since 2001, the city has had on our transportation system plan a bridge over the Umatilla River as a potential. And I was meeting with the counselor who shared that, in the past we've gone to DC looking for money to fund that project, more when the depot was active and evacuations were necessary. But now, as traffic has increased and we've been growing, the reasons for a bridge in that location are much more numerous than just trying to provide an additional evacuation route. So our original plan had been to seek a federal grant to help fund this study to decide between the two locations, or to get at least more information about both of them, Pumpkin Center Extended or Elm Extended. And so initially that was the plan, and we were working towards that. Then a couple of items came up where the city of Umatilla and Umatilla County both were interested in this project because of the regional significance it would have. And so we talked to them about a potential cost share, and they were both interested, and actually both the county commission and the city council in Umatilla have approved their portion of this. And so what we're working off of is a $130,000 project estimate from Anderson Perry to study both locations, and that we would share at $50,000 from the city of Hermiston, $50,000 from Umatilla County, and $30,000 from the city of Umatilla. And so what we're asking tonight is that the council support the mayor in signing this memorandum of understanding, and that we can move forward. The federal grant would just really slow things down a lot, and so that's why we're asking to kind of move forward with this. It really costs us about the same as far as the city portion of what this would have been if we would have gotten a grant for it. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So great to have partners on this. Appreciate the county's partnership and the city of Umatilla. In review of this work and the report that comes out from Anderson Perry, who gets to make the final decisions then on how we move forward, since we have two other partners involved?
Well, I think we're going to set up the process to where they'll be involved all throughout the project. We were just kind of exchanging some emails about that today. And so ultimately, we have to decide which bridge we put in our transportation system plan. But I think that we will do that as we work in conjunction with our partners in figuring out what works best for all three agencies. But, you know, the city council has to decide for our actions, as well as any actions taken by the county would have to be decided by the Board of Commissioners.
So I guess I'm not trying to complicate things or put a monkey wrench in it, but you potentially could have a conflict of the decision that's being made as an outcome, right? And so at what point does the road attach to the city, and what point does the county and the federal or state, I guess, I mean, you have a lot of road there that's going to be decided.
If we look at it from a jurisdictional standpoint, most of this project isn't going to happen inside the city limits.
Right.
And so, I mean, the bridge, the river in that area is our urban growth boundary. And so, you know, it will be, or it would potentially be, a county road for a distance out to wherever, whether it's Pumpkin Center or Elm. So, you know, I think we're going to have to work together and figure something out, or else, you know, we could build a bridge that then lands on a gravel road and doesn't really effectively help move traffic if we can't come to a consensus with the county and the city of Umatilla.
City Manager Smith. Just
Yes.
Additionally, along those lines, I think it's important for the council to keep in mind with this action this evening, we very specifically wrote into the MOU at the very last understanding that really says all that the three parties are committing to at this point is purely this engineering analysis. So I certainly understand the mayor's question about, you know, what does this look like moving forward as far as actually constructing it and what those relationships and all those things look like. I think it may be a little premature to get into those conversations right now, because this is really just proceeding with the actual analysis of, you know, which location costs the most, which location might cause, you know, various impacts downstream and upstream on the transportation system. So I think this document that comes out of this, that'll really inform a lot of those questions, I think, that will come up, because it's going to be a very long and complicated process moving forward past that. But this evening, it's really just about getting this analysis started.
And I understand that, and I also, again, appreciate the partnership. I just wish there was more context around how we engaged in a conversation moving forward. And so whether it was a work group or, you know, certain delegation from the council and the county and city of Umatilla was part of the decision-making moving forward, I just don't know what we're going to do with it once we get it. And I think we're now inviting other partners into the conversation and want to make sure that we all understand our roles and responsibilities as a part of that. So that's the only thing I was throwing out there.
Well, just to address that, I mean, I think at this point, this is really a technical analysis of this, and so we're inviting each of the other partners to bring their technical staff and expertise into the discussion, and then, you know, at some point, maybe we do have a joint discussion with the councils and the commissioners and do that. But I think, again, I think it's a little bit preliminary.
Yes, Councilman Peterson?
And I think I can kind of actually echo a bit of the sentiment in that if we are going to be putting, what, $50,000 of, you know, Hermiston funds towards basically an idea, scavenger hunt, if you will. I mean, a study, a really, really long, lengthy, in-depth study, that we need to also be thinking, okay, well, if a study comes out and it looks like we want to do something with it, what are we going to do with the results of this $50,000 study? And I don't think it's too premature because that's a chunk of change. And, you know, we want to be good stewards of, you know, the community's resources. So asking those questions ahead of time makes sense because it's kind of like, all right, you know, it's like you buy a pony, where are you going to put it? Well, we'll worry about that when we get the pony. Maybe we should think about that now. You know, whose yard is it going to go in? You know, who's going to decide where it goes? You know. And so trying to kind of get that figured out ahead of time, like, okay, when the group comes together, you know, who is going to be at the initial discussion table when the results come out? Maybe that's just what we find out, is who's going to be at the initial table to discuss these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw Commissioner Doran over here to maybe speak from the county standpoint, but from our standpoint, our plan was to have Anderson Perry would be somewhat our representative, I think somewhat representing all of the entities because of this agreement. But then Mr. Morgan, myself, Mr. Civi, and then we've asked the city of Umatilla to bring their technical staff, but I would imagine their city manager would be involved, as well as they have a public works director. And I would guess that Commissioner Doran would bring his road superintendent. I'm not sure what his title is, but and any other staff that might be involved. So I think those, as far as hashing out the technical details and the way, you know, things lay out, and then that group could broaden as we go forward. It just depends on, you know, how the results kind of come out.
It does say in the MOU that the city of Hermiston will act as the owner and point of contact for Anderson Perry, and that all parties agree to collaborate in good faith. It also says in there it doesn't create any expectation of future commitments by any party. So, any other comments from councilors?
This has been an idea that's been on the table for a long time. Have we ever done a study, a technical study like this on this before?
On this, no.
Council Myers?
This project has been on the radar for over 20 years, and the same two spots. And so now I think they just need to flush out the technical work of which spot is going to work the best. And that's where we're at, in my opinion.
I mean, it's nice to move it forward because obviously it's been sitting there for 20 years. So to get some action moving it forward, I think is great. And bringing on our additional partners to help pay for the cost of that is excellent as well, too. Councilor?
Yeah, I think that, you know, this logistically for the city of Hermiston and the whole area, that this is a necessary step that we do need to take to enhance our accessibility to the city. You know, with one bridge over the Umatilla to get from one side to the other, you know, within our immediate area, you know, just again, for logistics' sake, this is going to help us out considerably, and I think we need to take this step to get this moving forward and maybe possibly find the funds to jumpstart it and make it a reality as soon as possible.
Comments? Yeah, Mr. Brown.
Very preliminary question, but I know that we're talking about the bridges being either off of Elm or Pumpkin Center, but I guess I was kind of hoping there would be a map, but I guess I'd just like to maybe visually or vividly see this in my head. Where would they go? I know it's over the river, but...
So if you look at Pumpkin Center extended, it would hit I-82 approximately at the Power Line Road intersection with the freeway. If you took Elm straight across, and again, it might not be a straight shot. If the engineering finds that we need to, you know, curve a little bit to hit something just right, it might move. But you would go straight across and hit Power Line Road somewhere probably quarter mile, half mile down from that interchange.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any of us will be around or in this position to see this actually happen, but it's good to at least get this process started and kind of look towards the future of how are we going to provide for transportation access to Hermiston for our future residents. As we've seen from the population census, you know, we grew another 15% in the last decade. So if that's our trend moving forward, we've got to find some alternative routes for transportation around our city. It's got to be a priority for us. Any other comments from the council? No? Okay. Any public comment on this? Okay. Can I get a motion to support the mayor signing on to the attached MOU?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Davis, second by Councilor Primer, that we agree that I can sign for the council on the attached MOU. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. All right, on to city committee and liaison reports. Do we have any reports this evening? Yes, Councilor Barone.
So update from the Hermiston 2040 committee. We met on the 17th. Really, we're just trying to see where our online survey results are at. And so at this point, we're at 634. Again, our goal is to be in the thousands for the survey responses. In our respondents, we had a breakdown of demographics, age groups, you name it. Again, one of the more striking ones that we have to work on is reaching out to our Latino residents. We have 44% Hispanic population, and 16% of those respondents are from the Latino population. To the committee's credit, we've been able to engage with a civic organization, Valkyrie. So they're going to be working on disseminating that information, making sure that if people have questions, if anybody ever just comes into their offices, they're going to be doing a lot of outreach on their social networks. Also, just within the agency themselves, they've been really busy just because being one of the only Latino civic organizations here, we know with COVID, there's been business grants, a lot of different grants, rental assistance, so they've tried to be the go-to of disseminating everything. So we're really happy that they're on board and able to help us out with outreach. We've discussed a couple other focus groups coming up, maybe having an open house in conjunction with the tree lighting ceremony on December 2nd. And so there's just, we tossed around a couple of ideas to try to see more engagement. But overall, I think we're heading in the right direction. But it is, I think our committee really acknowledged that just with how COVID is, not being able to have all those interactions, it just has been a little tougher getting the respondents that we're seeking. So I just implore council to continue reaching out and reaching out to personal contacts, people that you know, just because that personal connection or that just individual one-on-one conversation is just far more powerful than generic messaging at this point. So I think we've already blasted as much as we can, and we're going to continue those efforts, but I think it's really important that council takes the opportunity to have these conversations one-on-one. Just a reminder, it's a 5-minute survey, and we do have prizes as well for people that complete those surveys. So again, this is going to come back to us around goal setting session. So we know that's around January or so. So it's really important that when we wrap up, we have as clear of data from our community as much as possible. So just implore council to continue reaching out to your personal network, to your personal supports, colleagues, and that sort, and continuing to see what the community truly wants.
Councilor, is the survey a digital format that you could send out like in an email that could be posted like to a Twitter account or a Facebook account or that sort of stuff?
Yes, it's in English and Spanish. We have the website itself. I can make sure to send it to all counselors after this council meeting, so that way everyone has access. But it's Hermiston2040.com. It's got a lot of different things other than just the survey, the intention, why we're doing this, what it's for. But I'll make sure to send the link to council after council session's over.
If I might make a
And we have been posting on the city Facebook page over the last few months, different times, different ways, and we will continue. I know we have a schedule of other posts, so it'll be going out in that format as well.
Yeah, if you would like us to use our personal contacts, I think if you sent it to us in an email, that would be helpful. Yes.
If I might make him a suggestion, you might put a QR code on the billing, any of the billings going out that, people could just use their phones to slap right into it. It's a quick and easy.
Yeah, we can take a look at doing that. We have printed a bunch of postcards. We handed them out at the fair parade. So yeah, and we can look at doing that on the bills as well. We have mixed response when we get that, but yeah.
It's a simple, it's just a little bitty thing, and it takes your phone takes your phone right to it. It's real simple.
Any other committee reports? Okay. Mayor's report. First of all, I wanted to thank Farm City Pro Rodeo and Umatilla County Fair Board and the hundreds of volunteers for Fair Week. I think the rodeo and the fair were a success this year from what I was able to observe. I was at the rodeo on Friday and Saturday night, and it was well attended. I think Saturday might have been their largest attendance ever. So I don't know if the numbers are in yet, but it was a very good event. The weather participated. It was hot, but didn't have any thunderstorms or windstorms or that sort of stuff. And when I walked through the fairgrounds, it was very busy too. So thanks to all of those volunteers for, again, another successful year. Couldn't do it without the hundreds of people that volunteer to help make that a success. So thank you to all of those community members making it happen. And then I just wanted to comment on the latest census data. If you haven't seen them yet, our population numbers were 19,354, which is up about 14.5 or almost 15%, if I remember correctly. And the west end of Umatilla County is now 40,251, which is 50.3% of the total population of Umatilla County between the four west end cities. So we continue to grow on the west end pretty significantly. We've also gotten a little bit more diverse. We're now 40.3% Latino population. So that's also good to see as well. So good population numbers for our area of the state. Other comments from counselors? Nothing? Yes, Councilor Perman?
Well, I had a brief conversation today with members of the Good Shepherd Foundation. Nice little conversation there about some of the things they've got going on, and just a little meet and greet type thing. I was also took part in the deal for Detective Studebaker over the weekend, and that was very well attended as well. I don't want to give the number out; it was posted, but a significant portion of funds was raised for their help, and to all those that were involved in either just partaking in it and those that made it happen. Thank you. It was heartwarming to see all the people, and there was people that had, former co-workers and such that showed up that I hadn't seen in quite some time. It was nice to see a lot of different people and see how many people showed up to help support Randy and his family. So it was a great thing. Earlier that day there was a Jeep run for Jason Post's family also as well to help support him. Jeepers Back the Blue, I believe is the name of the outfit. So it was a busy day that day, but anyway, it was well worth it, and again, thanks to everybody who participated in that.
Others? Mr. Smith, were you going to talk about City Fest? Yeah, okay. I'll let you go ahead with that one.
So just a few items. First, again, I attended Melon Fest on this last Saturday. I know the downtown business group was happy with the turnout and thought it was a good event. And they're always coming to the city with more ideas on how we can make it better and try to help them with that event. But I think it was a good event for us, for the downtown. I wanted to give a quick update. Riverfront Park, we know we haven't seen any construction going on. We're waiting for some FEMA approval. We'll hopefully have about 2 weeks left on the clock that they have 30 days to tell us to review a certain set of information, and so we're waiting for that to get back from them, but hope to see that moving forward quickly. Also want to thank those who were able to come to the city employee picnic this week, and I want to give a special thanks to Crystal, who did double duty since Lily wasn't able to assist, but we're glad to see Lily back in the office today, and I'm sure she'll be sending you a lot of emails, getting you straight again. Also wanted to just update the council in our search to replace Mr. Luisi. We have have an interview scheduled this coming Friday, and have 3 members of the council participating in those interviews. And if this candidate looks like a good fit, then we would bring some form of an interview with the full council, because the council is, according to the charter, is the ultimate hiring authority on the city attorney, though the staff is the one that works with them kind of on a day-to-day basis. So one other, just Mr. Kay was talking a little bit about City Hall. Yes, the elevator shaft is finished, and that will allow them to now pour the last piece of the footings and then put in the final pieces of the walls. And so we should be able to see, and I know they were working on making sure the steel was delivered, and we'll be here on time to start putting the first floor system in place in the next few weeks. So we should start to see a different type of activity going on at City Hall. And let's see, I think then as far as City Fest, this weekend it'll be at Butte Park, Saturday afternoon. I know there are other events, and Councilor Harden is talking to people about some of those, but I think it's going to be a positive event for the community. I know lots of volunteer hours, lots of community contributions into that event as well, trying to help the community, lift up the community after we've had this, struggles with the pandemic for the last year and a half. So, anything else?
Hours for the City Fest?
3:30 on Saturday afternoon till 10 or 10:30, something like that.
I understand there's going to be thousands of people, so we got traffic and parking and all that kind of figured out.
Well, I'm not going to say it's perfect, but yes, we are anticipating traffic and parking problems and lots of people there.
Good. No, I think it's an exciting event to bring something of that significance to our community, and looking forward to it. So that's this Saturday. It starts at 3:30, runs to 10. Various activities for kids, adults, some church service as well that'll be going on, some public speaking events. Anything else, Counselor? Concert. That's right.
High-flying bikes and
Okay. Some motocross action going on there too. So yeah, community.
It's supposed to be a total family event, basically.
Total family event this Saturday. Please come out to Butte Park for City Fest. Should be exciting. Anything else, Mr. Smith?
That's it. Thank you.
Did you participate in the seed spitting contest?
I did. I placed second.
Oh, who'd you lose to?
Darren Parsons.
Okay, from Pendleton, really? You let a Pendletonian beat us?
He got a good roll on his.
Okay. He is a local Hermiston guy that grew up here, but now he's a Pendleton guy. All right, we do have a executive session scheduled this evening, so we're going to recess into executive session. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602I, which allows the council to meet in executive session to review and evaluate pursuant to standards, criteria, and policy directives adopted by the governing body the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, public officer, employee, or staff member, unless the person whose performance is being reviewed and evaluated requests an open hearing. The executive session will last approximately 20 minutes, after which we will reconvene and open up the session. So we are in recess. All right, we're going to reconvene the city council meeting for August 23rd, 2021. And on our agenda for item 10A is to consider approval of changes to the city manager's employment contract. Any public comment? No. Okay. Any council comment? I will say, it's been a challenging year this last year that we all had to manage and work through, and I appreciated your leadership in the COVID and keeping the city healthy and keeping us on track and keeping us financially stable, and we didn't get too far out of bounds one way or another on opinions or decisions, and I just really appreciate your leadership on that and your firm stance to make that happen, as well as working with all of our community partners to provide access to testing and vaccination, and figuring out ways that we can still do the city's business in a public forum, in a safe and healthy environment, keeping the city on track, managing its goals that the council has set, keeping a strong, successful working staff employed, and keeping everybody employed this last year, which is great. And so we look forward to another successful year with you. Appreciate you and your service to the community.
Thank you. I want to thank the council again for the opportunity to work here, and it's a great community, and we'll keep pushing forward.
Any other council comments? All right. Can I get a motion to approve city manager employment agreement? Amendment 7 to the city manager employment
Oh,
agreement.
I guess it's not on our agenda, and it wasn't attached to the agenda. I mean, do all the people know what we're amending here? I mean, we should probably give a description.
Okay. Sure. The amendment essentially extends the term of renewal from August 24th, 2021 through August 24th, 2023. So it's an additional year beyond his current contract. That was the only change in the contract, correct? So we're just extending his employment for one more year. All right.
So moved.
Okay. It's been motioned by Councilor Primer, seconded by Councilor Davis, that we approve the amendment number 7 to the city manager's employment agreement. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Smith, for another year. Look forward to it. All right. We are adjourned.